Throughout 5 millennia of Chinese civilization, the annals of history are crowded with legendary commanders and strategic geniuses. Figures like Bai Qi, Han Xin, Wei Qing, and Huo Kobing are titans who swept across battlefields, leaving behind legacies of undisputed brilliance. Yet today we look at a man whose historical stature is profoundly counterintuitive. How does a general who ultimately tasted defeat, lost the vital strategic territory of Jingzhou, and met a tragic, ignominious end, manage to transcend every undefeated peer in history? How did he become a supreme deity, worshipped by the global Chinese diaspora, across the realms of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism? In the bustling storefronts of merchants, he is the god of wealth. In the gritty codes of the underworld, he is the venerable Guan Yu. To the literati, he is the saint of war standing equal to Confucius. And in the imperial decrees of successive dynasties, his titles ascended from Marquis to Duke, King Emperor, and finally, Supreme Heavenly Lord. What mystical power allowed a general who died with such profound regret to be deified with such fervor? Today we delve into the authentic life of this eternal legend, Guan Yu. Guan Yu, known by the courtesy name Yuncheng, and originally called Chengsheng, hailed from Yuncheng, Shengxi. The official historical record, the records of the Three Kingdoms, is notoriously sparse regarding his early years, offering only a cryptic 5-word description. Fled as a fugitive to Zhuo Commandery. This reveals that this future deity began his journey not as a nobleman, but as a man on the run, a fugitive fleeing the law after a fatal altercation in his hometown. Yet it was this desperate flight that led him to Zhuozhou in Hebei, where he crossed paths with Liu Bei, a fallen aristocrat then reduced to selling straw sandals, and Zhang Fei, a local wealthy butcher and wine merchant. While fiction would later romanticize this meeting as the Oath of the Peach Garden, historical fact confirms a bond no less powerful. The three shared the same bed and lived as brothers. In the twilight of the Eastern Han Dynasty, a chaotic era defined by betrayal and shifting alliances, where even the mighty Lu Bu could murder 2 foster fathers, Guan Yu chose his loyalty to Liu Bei and never wavered. Standing 9 feet tall with a face the color of dark jujubes, Guan Yu took up his blade, mounted his steed, and stepped into the violent meat grinder of the warlord era. In an age teeming with warriors, Guan Yu stood out first through sheer terrifying combat prowess. His martial reputation was no fabrication of novelists. He was certified in official history as a warrior of 10,000. In the 5th year of Jianan, during the Battle of Baima, the formidable general Yan Liang led Yuan Shao's vanguard in a crushing offensive. Guan Yu, temporarily forced into the service of Cao Cao after a defeat, stood in the cow camp. Gazing across the battlefield, he spotted Yan Liang's command canopy, right amidst a sea of enemy soldiers. What followed was a scene that reads like a modern cinematic masterpiece. Guan Yu spurred his horse forward, charged through a legion of 10,000 men, stabbed Yan Liang in their very midst, and returned with the general's severed head before the enemy could even react. This was not a ritualized duel. It was a high-stakes, elite special operations-style strike, performed entirely by a single man. The sight left Cao Cao in awe, prompting him to petition the imperial court to bestow upon Guan Yu the title of Marquis of Hanshou. While many possessed strength, his path to divinity was paved by uncompromising loyalty. Cao Cao, a brilliant but ruthless pragmatist, was obsessed with his talent. He tried to buy his heart with an avalanche of worldly riches. Frequent banquets, gold, silver, beautiful women, and high office. He even gifted him the legendary steed, the red hare. Yet the moment he received news of Liu Bei's whereabouts, he performed an act that would define him for eternity. He left every gift and treasure untouched in the storehouse, hung his official seal in the main hall, and departed with a farewell letter, quietly escorting Liu Bei's family to safety. While stories of slaying 6 generals across 5 passes may be embellished, the act of leaving the gold and hanging the seal is ironclad history. To remain unmoved by overwhelming wealth and choose uncertainty and danger for the sake of an oath, this is his radiant righteousness. By the 24th year of Jianan, Guan Yu launched the Fancheng campaign, reaching the absolute zenith of his entire military career. Facing veteran General Cao Ren and a massive relief force, he demonstrated masterful tactical intuition against Yu Jin and Pang De. He seized upon torrential autumn rains and the rising Han River to orchestrate a textbook maneuver, the drowning of the 7 armies. 30,000 of Cao Wei's finest troops were obliterated. Their supreme commander surrendered, and the fierce Pang De was executed. This victory shook the very foundations of the Central Plains, terrifying Cao Cao into considering moving the capital to avoid his momentum. Historian Chen Shou described Guan Yu at this moment with 4 simple words: awe-inspiring across all the lands of China. In the entire era of the Three Kingdoms, he alone earned such a description. Skill in battle is a gift, but true depth is measured by enduring agony. This brings us to the historical reality of scraping the bone to remove poison. During the Fancheng campaign, his right arm was struck by a poisoned arrow. The medical procedure was primitive, brutal, cutting flesh to expose the bone, then scraping the toxin directly off the bone with a rusted knife. As generals turned pale at the sound, Guan Yu simply laughed, calling for wine, meat, and a casual game of Go. Inside the tent, a truly jarring medical scene unfolded. The surgeon worked with sweat on his brow, the blade rasping against bone. With a sickening sound as warm blood quickly filled the metal basin, Guan Yu sat eating and drinking, conversing and playing his board game, as if the surgeon's knife were touching someone else's flesh entirely. This superhuman willpower, this composure amidst the scraping of bone, elevated him from a mere man to something approaching a god. Yet the blade of fate strikes when least expected. At the height of his glory, his ally Sun Quan wanted Jingzhou, and dealt a fatal, cowardly blow right from behind. Lu Meng's white-clothed river crossing took his base by complete surprise, leaving the exhausted god of war trapped between two raging fires. In the winter of that year, amidst heavy driving snow, the 60-year-old Guan Yu retreated to the small city of Maikong, with only a pathetic handful of loyal followers left. During a desperate breakout attempt, he and his son were captured, and they were both subsequently executed in the freezing cold. By any worldly standard he failed. He did not restore the Han dynasty. He lost his territory and his life, dying a completely defeated man. But his death was merely the beginning of his absolute deification. Why did successive emperors promote his cult so aggressively? Song emperors needed his legendary loyalty to unify the common people. Ming emperors titled him the demon-quelling great emperor of the three worlds. The Qing dynasty elevated his tomb to the exact same level as Confucius. While the state provided momentum, the common people embraced him completely, because he represents the rarest moral compass in a terribly cynical world. When we worship Lord Guan today, are we praying to a god of wealth? Not necessarily, it is something much deeper than that. In a world full of calculation, where interest trumps integrity, and betrayal is always a possibility, we kneel before his solitary courage. Solitary courage, in the absolute face of the impossible. We honor his contractual spirit of keeping his word at any cost, and his unyielding uprightness that refused to bow to pressure or temptation. In life, he used his blade to carve through the late Han's chaos. In death, his loyal heart became the yardstick for the Chinese spirit. The waters of the Yangtze flow east, and the stars of the Three Kingdoms have long since faded into dust. Yet this soul of unyielding integrity has crossed 1800 years to become an eternal legend in the tired hearts of millions.